Our next guest brings new meaning to the term overachiever. She started her first business at the tender age of 12 and has founded 17 businesses since across Australia, USA, Hong Kong and China. I mean, talk about a powerhouse. Her name is Vanessa Garrard. She is a mother to 4 children and a serial entrepreneur. And wow, I cannot wait to hear more. Please help me welcome Vanessa to the Girlfriend Hour. Woo!
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Thank you for coming onto our show.
Thanks for having me.
This is amazing. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. So many questions for you. You've clearly been an entrepreneur from a very, very young age. Where did this drive come from?
Look, I think I had a pretty tumultuous upbringing. So I went to 11 different schools. Mum and Dad moved a lot. You know, they lost their house when the interest rates went to 19%. You know, they worked a lot of jobs. So they were good workers, but they never really had the stability for us as kids, right? So I guess when you really unpack it, it came from a sense of wanting to have that stability and that control. So I think that's probably where the thing of having my own businesses and my own little empire came from. So I don't think I naturally saw it as entrepreneurialism or an entrepreneurial journey, but it kind of led into that.
Now, I've started maybe 5 businesses in 20 years. You've started 17. It takes so much courage to start a business, let alone 17. Where did this fearlessness come from and how do we all get some?
It's certainly not fearless. Crazy, maybe.
Crazy.
Look, there's always fear, right? And I think whenever I get a little bit too comfortable and things are going too easy, it's almost like I need to stir things up, right? So I need to launch in a new country or buy a new business or sell one, or it's almost, it's uneasy when it's too comfortable.
Right.
So I'm so used to that now that I always want to feel a little bit pushed and a little bit,
and
what else
that's
can I do?
okay, right, isn't it, to have that nerves or that uncomfortableness because it's out of your comfort zone and that seems to be where the magic is, apparently.
Yeah, and you learn so much, right? You realise how you can push further and harder and bigger, and it's a great learning, and it's really, I'd challenge anyone who ever even thinking of starting a business, just do it, right? Get out there and have a shot, and even if you fall down, you get back up, you start again. It's all learnings, right? So as long as you don't do the same thing again.
Yes.
There's plenty of learnings along the way, but I love business, and I think there's something completely exhilarating when you get it right. Absolutely.
And Vanessa, where do the ideas come from? Because I think from what I've learnt about you, you've got quite a variety of businesses. Where do these ideas come from?
I don't know. Yeah, because I've got electronics companies and apparel and sourcing products and med tech and a whole heap of different things. I think it's when I get into something new or see an opportunity, and I'm seeing business opportunities all the time now, particularly as an investor. And if it kind of piques my interest, I really want to learn everything about the industry, and if I can find a new way of doing something or make it a little bit smarter or faster or more efficient. And I hate things that are status quo. It's almost like, why do we do the things that we did 20 years ago? Yes. Why aren't we changing that? So it's looking for opportunities consistently, and that's where you find, connect a few dots and you work out, is there an opportunity to do a business there, right?
Yes. And it is about changing that. And we had this chat earlier. It's, even with starting this show, there's so many TV shows that have been done and are out there, but they hadn't been done in this way. And it's not that they're not great and that people don't love them. They do. But why can't we do something like this with everyday celebrities rather than actual celebrities all the time? Because there's some great conversations that we're technically missing out on by not doing it. So I'm very much like that in that way of, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it seems to be doing okay in its early days. And, it's about giving it a go, isn't it? So if you're out there listening to this at home, Vanessa's sort of giving you that permission, start something, just do it.
Yeah, and I think kudos to you for this, right?
Thank you.
I think as a woman in business, there's not enough Aussie women voices out there, and we need to be talking more, and this
Aussie,
is a great
Indian,
opportunity.
Hello, darling. But anyway, I'm here now.
Not just American voices, right? or male.
Absolutely.
To be fair, it's how do we talk? We talk the same language. We think very differently. And I think we need to then embrace that and share our stories and help each other.
Absolutely. And you had 4 kids under 6 when you took your electronics business into the US. 4 kids under 6. I'll say that again. I know the audience are going, she did what now? Take us through that journey and how did you juggle that?
Oh, look,
do you look back now and go, I did what?
I say that to my husband all the time. I don't know how we did it some days, but there were days that everything went exactly to plan. There's days that it goes to shit,
What
right?
plan?
So it's, but I love the chaos of it.
Yes.
And I love that in terms of having control in business and things, the home isn't, right? So there's always something funny and there's a lot of noise and, there's news somewhere and someone's happy and someone's sad. And so you're always fixing problems and, there's
Like
three
a
kids are
business.
good and one isn't. And, so it's, I love it. I love it. There's something magic about being a mum and business and being able to do both.
How were you able to work out a plan that allowed you to launch this business into the US and do that? Did you have systems with you and your husband? Everyone had their things to do, but dealing with little kids, like they don't listen to a system. I don't think older kids listen to a system, by the way, but certainly not little kids.
My husband and I didn't travel together. Okay. So he was very hands-on in the businesses as well. So it would be that if I was in the US, he was at home. So one of us has always been with the kids. We very rarely travel at the same time. And because we both love being parents and hands-on, it's always one of us at home. So we didn't have the nanny or anything, but that's the way we chose to do things.
Yes.
We probably could have made it easier on ourselves, but in hindsight, I wouldn't replace anything, right? We're very close. Our family is very close and got each other's back and things. So I think that's important for us.
Yes, very much so. And it's what works for you. So I think if you're watching this at home, find a formula that works for you. There isn't one magic pill that fixes all. And don't let anyone else judge that decision. Would you say that's fair? I'm sure you've had people say, do this, do that, you should. Having should on you, do you love that?
I think we need a forklift. Like if you're driving a forklift, you need a license, but anyone can have children, right? So I always challenge going, no one, I'm yet to meet someone who's got it nailed, but happy to talk to anyone who has.
Please let us know on social media if you've got this nailed.
And you got it right one day and the next you don't, right? So we're continuously learning.
Yes, absolutely, definitely. Now, you're helping fund other female founders. As you've experienced firsthand how challenging it was to raising capital, tell us more about how you found success-seeking investors.
Look, I think this is where I believe very much in a tribe, and particularly women in business working together and helping each other and supporting each other through the challenges and the good times, the bad times, whatever. I actually had I remember having a challenge with a competitor at one point. It got really messy. And she said to me, we happened to be in Singapore, we're traveling on a conference, and she said, why don't you just buy them? I went, what? And they were much bigger, right? And I thought, no, I can't. And she's like, what? Why? I'm like, and I sat there and we having a Singapore sing and I thought, why don't I? And that was just enough, that one conversation, that question to say, why not? And then it was just make it happen, right? So a good pitch, and I would say, I'm happy to help anyone with pitches. I see so many of them. And I invest in, but I also mentor and I work in some incubators and things to actually help entrepreneurs. And I work with, Google startups and all sorts of things with kids in that entrepreneurship and women in business. And I think we now need to, you can show, and there is actually a method, right, in terms of how you do a pitch deck. And there's 10 slides and that's it. You nail that. But you need to know why you're doing it, how you're going to spend the money, how much you actually need. I get a lot of people who say they need money and they can't articulate how much and they can't articulate what they're going to spend it on.
Yeah,
so you won't get money, right? Because what are they giving it to you for?
Yes.
And it's not to sit in the bank. Is that going to get you growth? Is that going to get you into another country? Is it going to give you the opportunity to acquire something or, a new product suite? Whatever that is, you need to be really clear with how that's being spent. And I don't think anyone will have a problem raising capital. There's so much money out there. You just need to be able to pitch right and believe in what you're doing.
My husband's writing all this down, right? Absolutely. And Vanessa, do you think that there are some businesses out there who may use the excuse of not having funding to not make some bigger decisions in their own business? Have you found that?
Absolutely.
That's a crutch.
Absolutely. And every business that fails says, we didn't have enough time or enough money. And it usually comes down to cash, and that's the wrong reason, right? Because there is cash out there.
Yes.
And the banks are throwing money at businesses.
Yes.
You can use debt and you can use, investors and, even invoice financing. There's so many ways to actually fund a business nowadays, and it's so much easier than it was 20, 30 years ago when I started. So that shouldn't be the reason. And I think it's then, and a lot of time it is about knowing what that avenue is and those connections. But most entrepreneurs will help you in terms of if you ask them for advice or some help. And so I'd encourage you to talk to someone, or even if there's someone you want to talk to on LinkedIn or something, look through your network. Someone usually knows someone, right? So it's talking to them and say, hey, could you put me in, connection with this one, or could you do a warm intro, or can I have a coffee with you? And most people are willing to help, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. One of my big bugbears when I mentored for a brief period was that anyone can start a business. Like you said earlier, anyone can have a child, but you need a license to drive a forklift. You can just register an ABN and start a business, but where is this knowledge? No one's teaching business owners, they don't even teach you how to set up a company correctly. Where is this knowledge? It's not out there teaching you that you can have all of these strategies for funding. So businesses technically shouldn't fail unless it's a bad product or service.
That's right.
It's technically shouldn't fail. So do you find that frustrating that there is no knowledge out there? It's not taught in schools and in university maybe, but not in schools.
Yeah, and there's a couple of programs I'm working with to help with, education for entrepreneurship, and that's important to me because and to this day I must see at least a couple of times a week people coming to me with businesses that have got no cash flow. There's no projections. They don't know how much money's in the bank, or they know what's in the bank, but they don't know what that's going to, bills that are coming up. So, and I think that's a 101, right?
Yes.
Is cash flow and understanding that. But a lot of businesses don't, and they can't tell you what they need for working capital. They can't tell you exactly how much it takes to run their business, what's the actual cost of their product. So there's a whole heap of things there. What's margin, right? You say to someone, I was in a very big, girlfriend of mine's got a $50 million business now, but a few years back she'd hit a stumble, and she was telling me what a margin was, and it turned out it wasn't. It was markup, right? So she was actually losing money. So it was sitting down and actually explaining that, but her business turned around really quickly then, within 12 months to be profitable.
She understood it.
Yeah, and it was that, right? It was just that conversation and saying, here's a template, use this.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. So we need people like you out there. Now, you do some amazing work with Brave Hearts. Please take us through, for those that don't know Brave Hearts that might be watching from overseas, tell us a bit about them and your work with them, please.
That's one thing I really love, and if I tear up...
We have tissues this season. We're prepared.
Sorry.
I apologise.
So Brave Hearts is the leading Australian organisation to protect children against child sexual abuse. So the reason I joined was to see how I can use my skill set in terms of business and things to actually make that more impactful and help more kids, and especially being a mum of 4. But the stats are incredible. There's still 1 in 5 kids by the time they're 18 will be some form of child sexual abuse. And that's ridiculous, right? So anything we can do to help in terms of raising awareness, and it's not the things that you used to be worried about, the guys, giving lollies down the street, and it's not that stuff anymore. It's kids are offending on kids, and there's things on the internet and social media, and it's just incredible how staggering, how far and wide it reaches. And it's not about gender, it's not about, age, it's not about, where you're living or how much money your family has or any of that. It goes across all demographics.
Doesn't discriminate.
Yeah. So it's something that I'm incredibly proud to be a part of, and I can't thank the people within that organisation enough for all the work they do. Sorry.
Don't apologise. Wow. There's some water there if you need to sit. Wow. It's important work, and there are a lot of organisations out there that need our support, and I'm really grateful that you've shared a bit about Brave Hearts. For those that don't know about it, you can definitely look it up, and we can pop a link in this episode as well, so you can support in any way you can.
Thank you.
Vanessa, what's been the best advice you've ever received?
Lots, because I always ask.
Tell us a few, because I'm sure there's people at home taking notes.
I think, what was probably the most profound thing was someone said to me that everyone is replaceable. So, and what I realised from that too, and I didn't earlier on in my business, is you think, it's your business and you're so close to it and no one else knows it as well as I do. And it's rubbish. A good CEO can jump in any business and run it.
Correct.
Right? So everyone is replaceable. And if you're not, it's a business that you can't sell, you can't exit.
Yes.
And I wouldn't invest in, because if you get hit by a car or something, then
yes.
Yeah, and not tap on wood for everyone. Yeah. But that's not a sound business model necessarily. Otherwise, you're a services business and you can't replicate it. Right. I mean, even Tony Robbins and we talk about, you do some mentoring and things. If you can't replicate that system, it's not a business.
Yes.
Yeah, you've bought yourself a job, and it may be comfortable, and that may be a lifestyle job, and that may be a choice, and that's fine. But if it is something you want to scale up and you want to impact a lot of people, then you need systems, or you need a product base within that, even if it is coaching or mentoring, is what is the product that someone else could actually teach for you, even if your brand's on it. So I think that's probably irreplaceable. I think the other thing is just get in and do it. Don't overthink it, because you'll never, and if you're doing business right or even life, is we continually learn, right? So what I did yesterday was only relevant to that point. What I learned today and what I can do tomorrow, we're continually learning. So it's just go in and do it, and it won't be 100% right, nor should it ever. No. You always continue to strive to make that better.
Definitely. And, I think at some point we'll look back at the first season of this show even. I know it's a smaller comparison, but you do look back and you cringe. Like I looked at some graphics I did on Canva years ago and I thought they were so cool. Like I was the bee's knees. These things were just going to, and they did. I mean, they did really well. But now I look back and I go, how do I delete this off the face of the earth? Did I really put my name? Like, oh my God, that's not me. It's not me. And it is an evolution. But at the time, that was all I knew. It was the best I knew and it worked. And so as they say, you can't steer a parked car. And you're saying just get out there and do it. So great advice from Vanessa. If you're watching this at home and you're in business or wanting to start a business, just start. Get out of the driveway. And as you start to navigate, some people will come into your life or you can find people that will help you. But don't sit with the ideas, because do you find this as well, that there's some people that they plan to plan, they're students of life and they never actually leave the driveway, but they've got some great ideas. Do you find that really frustrating? It's just start, please.
Yeah, and you find then, in my that they may not be the CEO material, right?
No.
It might actually be they're an innovator and they could sell that idea, and there are a lot of people like that, and I meet them, and the advice might be, why don't you license that idea out?
Yes.
Because if you had the passion to do it,
you would have done it at 1 a.m.
Yeah, that's right. So if you've been talking about it 3 years and haven't done anything, you're probably not going to.
Yes.
Right? And you probably shouldn't. So maybe sell that idea to somebody else.
Yes, yeah, definitely, because I'm sure there's lots of you out there, and I know there's a few in the audience who email their lawyers or their team at 1 a.m, because that's when my ideas come, and so why aren't they awake? Because this is when we're going to make it happen. Yeah, absolutely. And there's others, as you said, they've got the great idea, they've been gifted with that, just send it out to the world so it can still happen. So if I was asked you to ask you what's next for Vanessa Garrard, what would you say?
I'd like you to tell me. I don't know. I think whatever gets my interest, and I have a shiny ball syndrome, which, whatever's interesting, I'll go after. So I don't know, but I'm always open to it, right? So whatever lands in my way that gets my attention and I think I can add some value to it, then I will. If I don't add value, I'll step away from it. But there's always opportunities, right? You see them, even this morning we're backstage and we're coming up with ideas, right? So there's opportunities everywhere.
Yes, absolutely. I think you'll have a line of people wanting to talk to you, including me, after the show. So thank you so much. Give her a round of applause before we jump into our quick section. Thank you so much for being here. We have a fun section now called Time Out. We have a fun section now called Time Out. Time Out is all about taking people on an adventure and a journey. So many people have been stuck during the pandemic and not being able to travel. And so I'm going to ask you some fun rapid-fire travel questions. Nothing too risque, I promise.
Let's go.
All right. So describe a dream travel experience.
I don't know. I guess something with the family. I do a lot of girls' trips and travelling with other female entrepreneurs. I love those. But I do that anyway. So if you're saying a dream one that I haven't done, it's probably, I don't know, taking Antarctica. With the family to go and see, because I think in our lifetime much of it will disappear.
Yes.
I think that'd be, and so that's not dream. I think we will do it.
Yes.
And so that's sort of there. I'm putting that out there that one day we'll do that.
Yes. You heard it here first. All right. And what would you say to someone who has never been out of their hometown?
Oh, I don't get it.
Without swearing?
How do you enjoy life without travel? I think
exactly.
I'm yearning to get overseas again. I've got a trip in November, but that's the first one since before COVID, right? So, or internationally.
Yes.
I love travel. Don't you want to? I think the sense of understanding a new culture, new people, history, all sorts of things are so interesting to me, and a new place. If we only do things the way we've always done them, and then what? I don't know. It's not the full life, right?
No, absolutely, totally agree. And who or what do you miss most while travelling?
Oh, my husband and my kids.
Okay.
So, but then I think FaceTime makes it easier.
Yes.
But they'll always send videos and stuff, so it's kind of cool.
FaceTime's great until they start walking around with it. Then do you feel seasick? Does anyone else feel seasick? It's like, can you just sit and talk to me? I can't do it. I have to turn the camera off, especially when you talk to grandkids, because they're like, Nanny, I did this, and they're bouncing on the bed. I'm like, I'm out. How many different countries have you visited?
Oh, lots. I think I couldn't even gather. But I love travel, and you always, even if a business trip, we try and tag on somewhere else at the end of it, and I love travel.
Okay. If I was to open your backpack while traveling, what would you always have in there?
Power bank.
Power bank. Okay.
And my girlfriend's a call because I've got the tech business, right?
Yes.
So everyone knows, go to see Ness, she's got all the power and the cables. And so,
So we run out of
power
juice.
bank. And I think everything else you can sort out, right? Your whole life's in it. So
Yeah.
I actually don't care. A lot of people talk about travel and losing luggage and all that stuff. I actually don't give a shit. It's as long as you got money and the
power
phone,
bank.
we're fine.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. How many languages do you speak?
One, and I struggle with that sometimes. No, I can get by in China and because I've had offices over there and there's a few bits that you can get through, a bit of German and stuff, but only enough to understand. I wouldn't even pretend to.
To know if you're getting the job or getting the business or not getting business.
Yeah. And there's a universal language, I think, most of the time you can
Yes.
you can work out, and I'm very good with the hand, talking with the hands. You always can
There's
communicate.
certain signals that are about, you can pick up anywhere in the world.
Like check.
Yeah. Oh. Do you prefer to travel by plane, car or boat?
Plane.
Plane, okay.
Faster.
Faster, because you're on a mission. Who's the most interesting person you've ever met on your travels?
Well, probably Richard Branson, I think.
Okay.
But I've met a lot of, well, in terms of celebrity, right?
Yes,
but
yes.
I would think other people that I've met just in business. And,
Yes.
there's, when we were in Monte Carlo at one point for a conference and it just happened to be walking outside, walking past someone, they picked up the accent, we start talking and we're doing business.
Yeah.
Right? So there's some incredibly interesting people around
If you're
the
open
world.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And who's your favourite travel buddy?
Francesca.
Francesca.
My best mate. We're a bit trouble together.
Bit
but-
naughty. I can sense from the little smile that came on when you said her name there.
No, we have lots of fun with it. It's business and she's awesome.
Fantastic. And what's the most beautiful beach you've ever set foot on as we wrap up today?
I don't know. There's so many, right? I think we have beautiful beaches here.
We do. We're very lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we were talking about a trip in Mexico in November, just a couple of days in there, and we're saying, do you go to the beach or do you go into the city, into the towns? And we're like, we actually prefer that because we've got great beaches here anyway.
Yes.
We're going to fly all the way on the other side of the world
To go to
and go to a beach. Why?
Why not do
So,
it here?
yeah.
Fantastic. Vanessa, thank you so much for being on our show. Give it up for Vanessa Garrard. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Are you loving the Girlfriend Hour so far? We hope you've been inspired by the wonderful women you've seen sharing their stories. Do you have an inspiring story of your own to share? We're looking for magic just like yours. Be featured in Feminescence magazine and start your own exciting media journey. Join many other fabulous women who've been profiled in Feminescence magazine. Unlock access to an international audience, propel your career and expand your network. Make today the day you back yourself. What are you waiting for? Visit feminescence.com.au to find out more.